And unlike some of the other people who would normally be doctoral students, I'm at a different point in my life. I'm at a far different point. I think, and I say this in as much, what's the right word? I'm not trying to tout myself, but I could probably teach doctoral courses now because of what I learned, because of what I've done, because of, I've basically been an academic in my brain, so I've always watched what I was doing. It's just an interesting thing when you say, oh, I did that, now how did I do that? But what I really want to do, it's a very strange thing. It sounds number one is I want to understand better what it was that I've been doing all along. So I'm not doing it for the degree. I'm looking at it as a, what the heck was I doing? Now, that would be great, but I actually am a more practical guy. I really believe in applying things. I mean, I have an impatience. I think some of the people with whom by whom I have been professored in my life recognize that I have a huge inability to just say, well, that's interesting. Well, that's fascinating. Because my automatic is, and what are we going to do with that? What are we going to do with that? So what I really want to do is, having given myself the luxury, or taken the luxury to actually understand what it is that I'm doing and how I've done it and what it means, is I realized over the last couple of years that I've actually been inventing things that other people have not really heard of yet. I have this concept of precipitative perception. I won't get into it now, but it's a wonderful framework that I've been using with clients for 23 years. I didn't call it that then, but I now understand it is precipitative perception. It is the ability to create a circumstance where a group of people in the room can come together and coagulate around an idea and have wonderful things happen in one day, in one 3-hour moment. How do you do that? So I've been doing that. Now I understand how I do that. What's the goal? What's the goal long term? I actually want to share it. I've amassed a huge body of knowledge. Some people like it, some people don't like it, but when you ask me a question, I can talk for hours. And generally people walk away from that saying, you really should be a teacher. You make a great teacher. And I, for years, have said to them, I am a teacher. I just get paid a great deal more than the average teacher. So what I really want to do in the latter part of my life is I want to teach or share with as many people as I can that there is a way to think better, that there is a way to get more out of your brain, that there is so much more than the human consciousness can achieve. And I have some of those little keys. So I'm really doing this academic experience because of exactly that intention. I want people to understand that there's a better way to think. You know, I had a Jesuit education. Some people don't know what a Jesuit education is, so let me tell you. The Jesuits, going back to the 1200 something or other, figured it all out. That there are 3 things that you need to know to make a better world for yourself and others. First and foremost, that there is a way to think. And the Jesuits don't much care what you think, because they'll argue the other side instantly, just for the fun of it and just to stretch you. That there is a way to learn, that there's a rigor, there's a you can't just get up and say, what shall I learn today? You literally have to think that there is it's like swimming. You can't just, yes, you can get thrown in the water and you can swim, but if somebody says to you, no, there are certain moves, there are certain breathing, there are certain things that you do that will make you swim much better. Golf. Right? Anybody can hit anything with a stick. Like, human beings are capable of that mechanically, but hitting a golf ball to hit it for the distance, you know, you get a hold of somebody who knows how to do that, even if it means moving your thumb a quarter of an inch, that's coaching. The same holds true for the human brain. So I essentially want to make sure that more people are better coached into getting to better places with their brains and tapping fully into their thinking. And one of the things that I'm fascinated by is we're so in love with artificial intelligence. It's interesting because in everything else in the world today, organic is so much better than artificial. Yet when intelligence is being discussed, it's, oh, artificial intelligence. It's wonderful. No, it's not wonderful. The human brain puts the artificial intelligence to shame. We first of all have incredibly more computing capacity than the brain, just more firepower. But on top of that, we think in 7 dimensions. Computers only can think in 3 at most.
Sorry.
No, that was a good place to stop, and you did. Okay.
So there's a third.
Yes.
You were saying Jesuit. There's
Oh,
a
yeah,
third.
yes, I'm sorry. Here.
No.
Okay, so Jesuits, right? Number one, how to learn. Number two, how to think. And certainly from a religious point of view, and absolutely from a social point of view, is that you are not alone in the world. That there are those to whom you are responsible. There are those for whom you are responsible. And that you're not going through this all by yourself. There are others going through the same thing. So even that way of being able to take the sum and total, I mean, think about it, what I just described for you is the heart of education, articulated in the 12th century, 13th century, in 3 simple sentences. Wouldn't it be great if all of us could pull that kind of articulate capacity together? We can, and that's what I want to share.
So are the ways in which the global salon
Yes.
is representing some of those 3 principles?
Well, the interesting thing about, the interesting thing about it, when you start thinking of what we're experiencing here as not a global classroom, which is mechanics. That's mechanics. Yes, my God, I can connect myself to people all over the place. But when you're talking about tapping into the collective native intelligence of a number of people and pulling it together, that's exactly what you get, is what the Jesuits are talked about. First of all, we do that around a rigor of understanding how people think. So that's it, right? We understand that there's a way to learn, because that's essentially what we study, and we understand that there are different expressions. Not that there are different ways of learning or different ways of thinking, but there are different expressions. And most importantly, I think the idea of that we are not alone, being able to tap into the experience of someone who lives in a universe different than mine is huge. It's huge. You know, I happen to live in the East Coast in a relatively affluent town, and I've spent most of my life saying to my kids, this is not the world. This is not the planet. We are not the rule. If anything, we're the exception. And to be able to sit in a room and tap into 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 minds that represent exactly that is a reminder that we are not alone, not only here, but just across the planet and the globe. It's an incredible experience. All right. Anything else? I don't know if Allie showed up or
I'm sure,
she said she should. So
good.
Yes.
Beautiful.
okay,
Beautiful.
it's good.
You know, one of the things I was thinking, it could really interesting segue for your piece in something, Allie.
Oh, depending, yeah,
Whatever.
yeah,
It'd be,
yeah. Let's shut it off because we don't want. And I'm going to double check it again. I'm going to take a quick peek.
I ain't gonna,
Yes.
Sorry, start coughing.
No.